Hey there, Schetter here for ESFI World with another GSL recap, this time recounting the action from the round of 16. This round began with possibly its biggest upset. GOMTV managed to 2-0 the TVT Master MVP. GOMTV averaged nearly 50 SCV kills per game in this set, utilizing both Banshees and landed Vikings to harass mineral lines. Alive and Curious met in the second match of the group, ultimately coming down to superior army control. Alive walks away from this one with the 2-0 win. In the winner's match, Alive succeeded where MVP failed. We saw some solid defense from Alive, and GOMTV spent too much on failed harassment attempts. This let Alive easily max out on mech, leaving GOMTV stuck with an anemic biotank composition. Curious looked good in the first game of the loser's match, shutting down MVP's Thor-heavy mech play with an armada of Broodlords. In the next two games, Curious Army's control again failed him, losing him the match before he even got to make another hive. MVP dispatches Curious in a 2-1 affair. That sets up our final match of the group, pitting MVP and GOMTV in a rematch of the group opener. MVP was able to corner GOMTV's army and score a decisive blow to take the initial lead. It would be the only victory MVP would eke out of the 5 games played between these two. GOMTV ran a dizzying combination of Hellions, Viking landings, and good old-fashioned drops to disrupt MVP's economy in the last 2 games and secure a spot in the quarterfinals along with Alive. Group B also started off with a surprise when Oz smashed MMA with a perfectly executed 2-gate build. In Game 2, MMA's superior mechanics were allowed to win out. Similarly, in Game 3, Oz willingly tossed his army into several losing battles. The losses there soon translated into a 2-1 win for MMA. In the second match, Puzzle took this set 2-0 and earned himself a seat across from MMA to decide the group winner. In Game 1, MMA defended a 4-gate from Puzzle, but Puzzle managed to dictate the path of the next 2 games, both times forcing a lift on one of MMA's bases with strong immortal timings, and then quickly teching to Colossi before MMA had enough Vikings. Protoss saw more success over Terran in the loser's match, where Oz brilliantly survived an early 13-kill Hellion drop, followed by a 1-1-1, utilizing his trademark micro and snap army control. Oz lost a critical pylon in Game 2 that cost him the sweep, but came back in Game 3 with a 1-gate double expand build. This left Supernova without Vikings to counter his Colossus. The group would end with a showdown between MMA and Oz. It looked like Protoss might carry the day after Oz won the first game with yet another huge immortal timing attack. MMA inevitably yielded once the Colossi came out, while he was essentially still on barracks tech. In the second game, MMA rushed for early upgrades on his bio, while Oz contented himself with just a single forge. The game was brought to a premature end after Oz's army got caught on move command, leaving the Protoss down by 40 supply. The final game of the group was a bit of a letdown, featuring the standard tech to Ghosts and Templar. MMA won the initial snipe feedback EMP war, an advantage which, combined with solid drops, ended up sending him to his 3rd Codes round of 8 in a row. In the first match of the night, a fully rested MC, free of jet lag, made quick work of Ganzi in a pair of short 2-base games. In the second match, Parting upsets the previous GSL champion and group favorite, Jakshi, in a close 2-1 series. Parting's great control over his gateway-heavy army helped crush the Terran. MC displayed his dominance of the PvP matchup with 2 quick games against the rising star Parting. MC showed that he really is the boss toss, easily stomping Parting's 3-gate pressure in the first game, and subsequently beating the 3-gate robo-expand with fast Dark Templars and great micro in the second game. In what probably is the worst match of Group C, Ganzi collapsed under the superior Terran play of the most recent GSL champ, Jakshi. That left Parting and Jakshi to fight for the last round of 8 spot out of Group C. The first game was an intense brawl on Cloud Kingdom, where Parting displayed his beautiful High Templar control, turning the tides of losing engagements and eventually wearing down Jakshi's army to take the initial lead. Parting decided on something similar in Game 2, and once again, his mass chargelet High Templar style prevailed, securing a 2-0 win and the 6th spot in the quarterfinals. Group D began with the clash of 2 heavyweights, Dongray Gu and Nest. First game on Crossfire saw DRG trying for some early roach pressure. but Nestea was able to defend with a minimal amount of units and spines. DRG struck back in Game 2 with Mutalisk harassment, followed by a Roach-infested army to even things up. Final game opened with a 10 pool from Nestea, squaring up against a 15 hatch from DRG. After some jabs at each other's third bases, Nestea loses too much in an attempted infested Terran harassment, and it would prove to be too deep a hole to dig out from. DRG takes this set 2-1. The second match of Group D saw a quick 2-0 from Marine King over Genius, sending him to this group's winners match against Dong Regu. The first game of this set was an odd one, with Marine King going for a Hellion Thor tank composition against Roaches, Zerglings, Banelings, and Mutalisks from DRG. DRG's nimble composition slowly gave him the lead, and eventually the game. Game 2 was much more macro-oriented. DRG's ability to cover more real estate and build a critical mass of Brewlords eventually overwhelmed Marine King for the 2-0 win and a seat in the quarterfinals. Match 4 was a huge upset, with the favorite Nestea losing in a close series against Genius. Nestea took Game 1 by defending against a Stargate opening and pushing his one base advantage for a victory. Nestea 6-pooled in Game 2. Genius defended it and held an advantage for the rest of the game, eventually tying things up with a unique upgraded Phoenix mix. The deciding game saw Genius again reach for the Phoenixes, and his impeccable control there, as well as an understanding of how to keep Mutalisks in check, carried Genius to the 2-1 win. In the match to decide the last participant in the quarterfinals, Marine King opened with a 2-racks build against Genius's 4-gate, easily carrying the game. Genius struck back in Game 2. This tore through the Bioforce of Marine King to even things up. Brilliant macro decisions decided this final game of the round of 16, leading to a decisive battle in the 16th minute that would tip things in Genius's direction for a 2-1 win. 4 Protoss, 3 Terran, and a single Zerg advanced to the round of 8. Fanatics Alive will be playing Slayer's MMA. SKMC will duke it out against MVP's Genius. FXO Gumiho will be fighting against Slayer's Puzzle, and the newcomer Startail Parting will have to beat the last remaining Zerg in GSL, Dong Regu. That rounds out the round of 16. Check us out on Twitter at ESFI and on the web at ESFIworld.com. Until next time, this has been Schetter for ESFI World.